You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru at. Tümer gitti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Cuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 113 of Beşiktaş International's The Black Eagles podcast. And we're back. I am your co-host, Sinan live from New York City. And with me, once again, the Akman. Evran, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. You know, keeping myself busy as always. How about yourself?
Yeah, training and stuff, but I'm excited for that game finally. 4 days away or 5 days away, whatever it is.
Yeah, I guess it depends. In Europe, it's probably like they always have the benefit in that regard. But yes, I think five or maybe even 6. Probably 5 now. Yeah, 5 days until we finally get to see Beşiktaş live in action. It'll be wonderful to see a team that we care about playing competitive sports. And it'll be the first time we will have seen that in quite a while, unless you're into like Korean baseball or something. For me, it's bittersweet. Like as a big Knicks fan in the NBA, like all but 8 teams will be playing in the NBA, and the Knicks are one of those 8 that didn't make the cut. So like, I'm glad that I'll have Beşiktaş. They're really going to be doing some heroes work for me as far as giving me something to do in the coming weeks and months ahead or whatever it is. But yeah, so it'll be great to see Beşiktaş back. We're playing Antalyaspor. I guess, we haven't done this in a while. We should probably do a little bit of a preview for that match. Evran, tell us a little bit about it. When is the match? It's a Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, they changed the time, but it's 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
So if you want to do your calculations, I believe that's like 9 p.m. Turkish time. Playing on the mighty Antalyaspor, who are currently 11th in the table. They're 5 points clear of relegation, so they're still, they're not coasting. They need some points. I guess if you want to look through their squad, they have a guy named Podolski, you might have heard of before. Sinan.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy.
Who we've been linked to once. Yeah, they're top
we were actually
scorer.
linked. We've been linked to him in the last.
Yeah, their
couple
top
of
scorer is Adis Yahovic. They have a couple other good players. Indinga, Doğukan İnci, Nazım Sangare, who plays for the national team. I mean, nothing crazy. Our ex-center back, Ersan Gülüm, is there.
And so, overall, the important information, though, is that it will be on Saturday, June 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here for us. Which, as everyone said, it's going to be like 8 p.m. I think for Central Europeans, and maybe, I don't know, whatever. Look it up. Look up your listing, as always, because we have no idea what we're talking about. Additionally, I suppose it's important to mention that it'll be at Vodafone Park, although I don't know how important that is.
Yeah, your cardboard cutout could be on TV if you paid for it.
That's right, and follow the links on the internet for that. For those of us who are not in Turkey, we don't seem to get to benefit from it, so I'm not even going to do that research. But yeah, let's move things along, because we actually do have a few talking points. Like, this is our last episode before the season gets back underway, and so we're going to have a lot to talk about going forward. With are there going to be matches twice a week?
I think so far just once a week.
Okay.
I can double check that real quick. Yeah, once a week.
Yeah. Okay. That's.
We currently have
tolerable.
one midweek game scheduled. Everything else is on the weekends.
Good thing we're out of the Turkish Cup, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's good. I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah, so we'll have matches to talk about going forward. Our next episode, we will have a match to review, which is both exciting and, of course, the sad part is we won't get to really screw around as much as we've been as of late. But this will be our last chance to do some of that. Talk about rumors and all the stuff in the news. I mean, what a weird season it is to have it be stopped and have all the transfer rumors start coming in before the season's even done, and then to have it restart again. And it feels like all the rumors that we've covered are kind of like washed away, at least for the time being. But
Yeah.
anyway, one more go around, I guess. So first of all, we'll start with the club on the sort of administrative end, on the training end, and all of that. First talking point, Evran, I hand it to you. We'll start on a conversation relating to the times, specifically regarding Black Lives Matter and the like. Tell us about that, Evran.
Oh yeah, Besiktas made international news. I think as they've done during this whole period, because I think Besiktas has been like the top Turkish club in regards to Black Lives Matter's responses.
Yes.
The whole team during one of the training sessions took a kneel, as you may have seen other teams do it. But our club's unique thing was that they made a big GF for George Floyd with the whole squad.
Yeah.
And
I think,
yeah.
I was going to say, in particular, I know that Boateng has had a very vocal, active role in talking about the issue and bringing people's attention to it. So I think maybe he's been instrumental as far as organizing people within the club to get involved. Perhaps it's a sign that he's going to sign a contract extension at a lesser, who knows? Cross your fingers. But that's neither here nor there. The good news is that, yes, the club is doing some good stuff and getting in the headlines for the right reasons, which, given all of the failed, payments and players leaving and all of that, this is a good thing to be in the news for.
Yeah. Our inside sources say that we have new people running the English social media accounts, and I think it's kind of showing is they've really been on top of everything. And I think in the past 2 years, especially under the Orman era, our social media has been kind of awful, but especially in this past couple months, they've been on top of things. They were the first Turkish club to post everything, even days before other Turkish clubs even said anything. So
yeah. And so that puts into a sharp perspective some of the American sports teams that still haven't said anything. But we won't even go there. James Dolan. But let's move things along and let's get back to Besiktas a little bit. So next is back to the training pitch, back to preparing for the match against Antalya, and news of players being injured. Or not, maybe, although perhaps more likely, yes, they are. Tell us a little bit about our friend, Georges Kevin. Was it Kevin Georges? No, Georges Kevin.
Georges Kevin. So looks like he has a left hamstring problem that is likely going to keep him out. There's been several sources earlier this weekend. Bein, Fanatic, and Terata all said he will not play on Saturday. I think, Sinan, you were saying that you saw something that it might be a game time decision, but all likelihood is that we won't see Nkoudou playing, leaving Lens, Boyd, and Diaby as our fit wingers.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. That should be plenty. Not to mention Guven Yalchin in a pinch, I guess. Although we obviously, we hope not. There's actually news about him too that we should mention. We'll come around on that. I'll just say it now, I guess. There is news that Guven Yalchin is being looked at by Sergen Yalchin as an option in some sort of a tactic to have him play in a two-man system up front with Burak. But I think that might be sort of more news for next season. So we'll push that along. If that really comes to fruition, I don't think anyone... honestly, if Guven Yalchin does have a place, I think it probably is as a secondary striker, but I still don't know if I necessarily want to be seeing him getting significant minutes. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Nkudu is not likely to feature against Antalya, although we don't quite know, perhaps. I mean, it could just be that they're throwing out rumors against the sort of main narrative, just to keep the Antalya off guard, as far as knowing who they're going to be up against. I would probably still lean towards Nkudu not playing, if we're going to be honest. What do you think?
Yeah, we haven't, not that I, can't have access to training footage, but all the pictures they posted over the past, 10 days, he hasn't been in, or 9 days, I think. So I don't think that's necessarily a good sign for him to be playing, but...
Yeah. You'd want a guy to be...
Yeah, training at
least.
A little
bit, right? Yeah. But so on to the next topic, and this also pertains to what we may see against Antalyaspor. A goalkeeper. We have news of who is our likely match day one. Is it match day one? No. Well, I don't know what match day this is anymore. But we have a starter versus Antalyaspor. It sounds like, although again, it's likely going to come down to the match day itself. But tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I guess unfortunately the current front runner is Utku, who I don't think anyone really wants to see again. Is not set in stone. This is a Terra report. That said, Erison still has a chance. I guess it must be close enough if Sergen's waiting until the day before the game to make a decision. But right now, Utku has the slight edge to be the starter.
Yeah, which for those of us who are especially unimpressed by Utku, I don't know. I don't know how that makes us feel about what we're gonna have going forward. I will say that I'm slightly more pessimistic now than I was before getting this news. What do you have to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not expecting a push for the title. Not that was really likely anyway, but
maybe not.
We
even
can
third.
definitely not rely on our goalie to save us. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah,
he's not horrendous, but it's just if you expect him to bail us out, that's just not smart.
Yeah, and I mean, I would even argue that it's debatable whether or not he's horrendous. I guess we'll see. Hopefully he's made some progress since we last saw him, which actually has been a bit of time, so who knows. He's young enough that an impression could have been made, I guess. Next, still not into the juicy, fun transfer gossip, but we do have some more news as far as people not being transferred. I guess this is now officially, we're off the training pitch. So again, stay tuned next week, Saturday afternoon, for those of us on the East Coast here. We're going to have some backyard football to talk about. So yeah, back to the crazy transfer window that is not actually happening. Elneny, what do we got, sir?
Yeah, I think the past 3 episodes I've mentioned that Elneny's probably hasn't been paid.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of confirmed that he was having payment issues, but it's been resolved with the club according to NTV and another reporter that he will stay for the remainder of the season. He will not have his loan terminated. And there was some reports saying that he's going to stay, but he might not play. But I think all the recent reports are pointing to that he will stay and at this point continue to play.
Good.
So I guess that's good news.
Yeah.
I don't think we needed another FIFA fiasco.
Certainly
Player
not.
comes and says he's not getting paid. So
especially with the heat that Trabzonspor has gotten. Oh yeah, I guess there's some news, by the way. Trabzonspor may not be invited to play in Europe next season, which means that even third place could be good enough for a Champions League.
Yeah. And when we say may not, they have been banned, but they're appealing. So for a 1-year suspension.
Yeah, and then supposedly they've brought some heat onto Turkey in general. They were going to maybe start looking into the whole league.
Yeah, I think there's been some questioning that Trabzon's not even the worst of the big four. They're probably the best financially of the big four at this point in time.
I guess there was what's particularly being looked at was that Trady that shady transfer at the end of last season. I forgot what it was. But anyway, let's not focus too much on Trabzonspor. I personally feel like it'd be a shame for them not to be in Europe, just because they've been so solid, honestly. But
at the same time, we could go to the Champions League.
Exactly.
So.
Or even the Europa League, frankly. I mean, like,
yeah, right now we would currently be in a Europa League spot as it is in 5th place. So if we move into 3rd place, which I think was kind of everyone's, like, not everyone, but the realistic goal.
That was, what I said as my dream. That was my dream position, was 3rd.
Changes everything, though.
So now suddenly that's a potential Champions League spot. But so, that would be pretty exciting, obviously. And Elneny will be around to help us get there. Although likely not next season, so that's somewhat relevant. I mean, I know, who knows? If we get into the Champions League, it opens up a whole Pandora's box of opportunities, perhaps, for others.
Yeah.
But, more news as far as players not leaving in the whole transfer window scenario here. Adem Ljajic. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I think we've been hearing a lot of rumors about him, like, not really reliable, but, him in Russia. And the first semi-reliable rumor came in that he turned down Krasnodar. That's a Saba report. I think everyone knows that he's probably, him and Vida are on the chopping block in terms of we need money. So, especially if we don't get into 3rd place or 2nd place or whatever the Champions League spots will be. So I think these rumors will not stop, but at least it's not like his agent saying he wants to leave. It looks like he probably is happy in Istanbul, but just the money has to.
Yeah, in fact, I think that was the rumor, is that he rejected Krasnodar on the grounds that he was happy in Istanbul.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means.
He's also Muslim, so not that it has a huge impact, but that definitely helps.
Yeah, and I think the reason that might surprise people is because some will recall that things were looking sort of tenuous. For his last appearance, he hadn't played in a while. He came in, scored a big goal, and shushed the crowd because they'd been giving him a hard time.
Put his fingers in his ears. He didn't.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's right. He didn't listen.
Huge difference.
Didn't listen to the crowd. That's right. It was Ozan that shushed. But so like, despite all of that, it sounds like he is happy. Maybe things are going fairly well in training with he and the club and Sergen Yalchin. So who knows? I suppose if a better offer comes in, I wouldn't rule it out. And I as we've talked about on many occasions, I think it's still likely that we let him go for a good amount of money if we can, because we need it. But that's something. And at the very least, it means going into this final stretch of this season, we'll have that to maybe buoy him, put him in a good mood. He put off the suitors. He said he wanted to be here, right? That could give us some momentum, maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Let's get into the fun stuff. Is there anything else you want to say about the club or the back end stuff before we start talking about transfer?
I guess there's like the one other rumor was that Guven has interest from France. It's not really like anything crazy solid, but apparently some people still think he's worth buying after this season, which is interesting.
That could actually feed into the rumors that Sergen Yalchin likes him and plans on incorporating. Maybe that's all a ruse to build up his asking price, if that's the trade. Tell me.
True.
So who in France? That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it was a 2nd division side, I believe. Nimes, maybe they just got promoted. And then Bordeaux were the two teams linked with him, but it was like a nominal fee, like $2 million, which I guess is better than what we would get for free, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, write home about. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll keep our ear to the ground on that. All right, so let's talk about incoming transfers. And we'll start with the bad news for anyone who is really into the news from last week, but and then we'll get to the exciting, the fantastic, intriguing news. But so let's start with the bad. Hamza Berry, the guy who many of us were pinning our hopes for the future on, for the foreseeable future. The next Atiba Hutchinson was what we were being told, right? So where did that go?
Yeah, apparently the next Orta Chizgi official came in to say that Sergen doesn't want him. The previous one said that like the club agreed with him, it was up to Sergen, and then a couple days later, then their next exclusive report said that Sergen doesn't want him. I know some of the social media, Bishop's Twitter scouts already started doing their scouting reports, but it looks like they can relax on that.
Take it easy. Watching Limassol, AEL Limassol. Yeah, I'll say that I'm mildly disappointed. I like the profile of the player. I like the under the radar aspect. I like, the concept of a national team player for an African side that's on the up. Theoretically, I don't know. I don't really honestly know if Gambia is truly making giant strides footballing wise, but certainly whatever. It's a player that it's to quote someone from our group chat from earlier today, maybe Emre Can. We have to be aiming to find the next Atiba Hutchinsons and Marcelos, which means these sort of diamonds in the rough. These guys that have weird career trajectories or who have maybe not quite fulfilled their potential elsewhere. So yeah, I like the prospect of finding this type of player. So even if this doesn't work out, I hope we keep sort of having this creative vision. And in fact, later on in this episode, we'll talk about another interesting vision as far as players. But yeah, too bad for anyone looking at the Hamza Berry transfer as our solution for the team. What do you think, Evran? Final thoughts on Hamza Berry, since we'll probably never talk about him again.
I had never seen him play still. If I was, maybe if the news got stronger, I would have looked into him, but it looks like, it's not going to happen, so I'm not going to look for old videos of the Croatian league or
Hajduk
his old...
Split.
Yeah, he plays for Hajduk Split, which interestingly is coached by Igor Tudor now, the ex-Scala man.
So he had a prep in that regard.
Yeah, prep. But yeah.
Interesting. So, moving along, also, I guess we could say under the radar. In fact, maybe even more so in some ways. Now we're going to be looking down at the third division of Turkish football at a little side from Izmir.
Actually, the fourth division.
Oh, wow.
It's the 3 league, yeah, which is the fourth division.
Right, yeah, fair enough. Right. A little side from Izmir, who goes by the name of Karşıyaka. Now, I will say that in Football Manager, I have coached that side to great success. And this very player was an instrumental part of it early on, gaining promotion up to the Super League. In my Football Manager side, he was a striker. Although it looks like in real life, he has since, because this was like Football Manager 19, I think, that I played last. He has since been moved to the wings. Evran, why don't you tell us a little bit about the gentleman I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's now 21.
Still
turned 21 in
young.
March.
I mean, not not prime youth as far as a real gem, but anyway, whatever.
Yeah, he didn't have like a storied youth career. He made one appearance for a Turkish youth national team. That was that. But this season, he's had quite the breakout year in the fourth division. Which I guess is not, some people be like, oh, it's, but it's still, you might be surprised at the level of play in that league, especially for a young player. It's quite physical. And as a winger, he has 12 goals and 5 assists, which is near the best in the division. And he's
I was going to say,
21.
Yeah. What's nice is that he's scoring 12 goals on the wing. Now, and that's why I mentioned my Football Manager.
And also,
he does have a history as a striker, which means he's got that versatility in theory that you could probably utilize should you want to.
He's contributed in 51% of his team's goals this season, which is a high amount. He's their leading attacker. I think they're in 5th place in their half of the division. So there's 2 halves of the 4th division. So he's a top scorer of the team by quite a margin. He's one of the few youngsters who actually even plays. So, I mean, I guess that's promising. I haven't seen him play, but I have seen other talents from the 4th division play, and they are pretty good. So I'm hopeful that maybe he won't be a star, but, hopeful that he can at least be a Super League level player if he does come.
Yeah, and I can say that as far as Football Manager goes, the scouts are fairly solid, and they had him as a Super League level striker, which, for better or worse, that's some scouting information, I guess. At least that was his potential, right? Like he was potentially like a 3-star player or something, which not bad. We'll see, obviously, and that's not exactly that's not science by any stretch.
If the rumors heat up, it's currently a beIN Sports report. If the rumors heat up, I'm sure the videos and compilations will come out. I do not currently have access to Instat right now because that was free a couple months ago. So if it was back then, I could have done my
your research,
sneaky scouting report. But right now, it's going to be a little tough to find.
That's all right. I mean,
4th division.
And we'll see. We'll see how real it is. But these are exactly the sort of moves that I approve of.
And I believe we predict. Yeah.
Say again.
I believe we predicted this earlier in the quarantine that these type of players will get more looks.
Yeah. No, it's exciting in that regard because that's really what you want as a footballing nation is for young guys to be playing somewhere in lower leagues and gaining the ability to play in higher leagues. And you want higher league teams looking at those players and scouting them and making sure they're getting those opportunities to play and better competition and all that. So, no, I mean, this is all good, honestly. And I think it's especially good considering that it's like fiscally responsible, which is super good given where we are and, who we are and everything. No, and it's really like even a super wealthy club that can afford to be bringing in expensive 25-year-old guys who are playing on legit national side, they'd still theoretically be wanting to dip into lower division talents and taking a shot on these high risk, low risk, high reward type of things. Why not, right? You never know what's going to happen, and it's exactly the kind of move that I think, given where we are, we have to be looking towards. So, hell, let's see it, Doğukan. Doğukan. I want to see it, and he's 21, so he could really step in theoretically if he's got the talent.
Yeah.
And so we have one.
Oh, I also failed to mention that he's a free agent I believe at the end of the season. I didn't look at his contract.
Yeah, well,
no, never mind. He has 2 years left on his deal. The next guy has 1 year left on his deal that we're about to talk about. So Doğukan would cost money. I think they were saying in the range of less than 1 million Turkish liras.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but from reports, we had trouble paying that for someone else. So.
You mean hostage? Whatevers. I think we'll be all right. I mean, again, these are the type of moves needed to make. Whether we get this guy in particular or not, it's just good to know that. I mean, I hope it's true, and if it is, it's good to know that we are looking in that direction finally. And so we do have one more ring to bind them all. No, one last excellent rumor to bring to you guys' attention. It's for me the most exciting one, perhaps of the entire fake transfer window, because the age is right, the price is right, the sort of scope of it's right. It suggests actual scouting and knowledge of the international player base. There's just so many parts of this transfer that I'm very fond of, and so that's why we saved the best for last. Evran, I know you know who I'm talking about. We're probably going to have a bit of conversation as far as how to pronounce the fella's name. I'm going to go for it. Eric Boakye. Your turn.
I believe it's this is a half guess. Eric Boakye. I'm not sure. He's got a name Boakye. There's one other player who was like I think he was like a wonder kid back in the day that had the same last name, Richmond.
Yeah, for
Boakye,
Ghana, right? Ghana.
Yeah. He went to Juventus and then nothing really happened. Now he plays for Red Star Belgrade.
Isn't he like
who
a
we
wing
have
back
actually
or
been linked to
something?
once, but
Is he a wing back or a full back?
no, he's a striker. The other Boakye or Boakye.
Okay, I forget. Well, anyway.
This one is a wing back though. When we were talking about Eric.
Nice. Well, perfect, because that's what we need. So yeah, tell us about Eric.
Yeah, he's a 20-year-old right back. Same year, 1999, as Doğukan, but he's born in November, so like 5 months younger or something like that, or 4 months. My month counting is very
Don't
bad.
worry about it.
Yeah, he has 1 year left on his contract, but it's the month is a little different because he plays in the Slovenian league, so their season doesn't really line up with ours. They don't expire in May. It expires like 1 month later, whatever. But still 1 year left. He used to play in the Ghanaian league. Last 2 years ago, went straight to Olympia, which is a like smaller, like mid-level, like slightly above mid-table
It spells
side.
Olympija, right, with the J?
Olympia, yeah.
Is it
he played-
Ljubljana or something like that?
Yeah, maybe. Transfer market says, Olympia Ljubljana.
Yeah. It is.
He
I'm
played
just
a
flexing.
couple-
Just flexing for the mic.
Yeah. He played a couple Europa League qualifying games. They're not, but they have had like a better season this year, so they're like kind of like ahead of like the normal big teams in Slovenia, like Maribor.
Nice. Are they in first?
And he has played. Yeah, this year they are. So I don't think they've ever.
All right.
I don't think they've qualified for Champions League.
You know what? I'll tell you.
Before,
I'm a
but now
firm believer in the psychology of winners and losers, and I think
Yeah.
there's a lot to be said for plucking guys off of winning teams when you're trying to change the mentality of your club, right? And we're not losing, so I don't think it's, but it's not like we have to wholesale get rid of everyone. We're not losers necessarily, but bringing a few more winners, guys who have that mentality, who are used to winning, who want to hold their team to that standard because they want to win and they're used to it. That's a good thing in general.
Yeah, I mean, definitely age-wise, he has a high upside, I think, especially for a right back. 20, well, he could be 21 mid-time next season. He's quite young. And we don't really have depth in that area, especially because we're told Douglas is going to leave and then Gekhan is out of contract and he's like 35. And then we have like a midfielder who can play there, Doğukan, but we're not really sure if he's going to be playing there
And
or
I
not.
still think that
So I
Gökhan
think-
Gönül is still looking the more likely to go versus Caner. Because like with Caner, we've heard rumblings of maybe he's going to stay, with this whole stupid number fiasco.
So
But with Gökhan Gönül, it's been squat. So for better or worse, I mean, we'll need a backup for him regardless, obviously, since Douglas is not apparently sticking. But
and also, I mean, Boakye's like, or Boakye, he's definitely under the radar, but it's not like, it's not like he's playing in the middle and nowhere, being one of the upper teams in the Slovenian league is no joke, especially at 20. I mean, it's not guaranteed he'll be able to make the jump, but, it's not unheard of players making that jump from lower European leagues. I think if you remember, like Badu Ndiaye was playing for like Bodo Glimt in
I know, I was
Norway.
gonna say it's exactly the trajectory.
Players like that.
A lot of young African talents get snatched up by those sorts of leagues, or some Scandinavian leagues, Romania, rather than playing in some second division thing, because then at least they know that there'll be the occasional European League game potentially that they could feature in, spotlight in, catch the eye of a scout, or a coach even. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a fairly common trajectory for African talent to sort of
Yeah, he actually played against Elneny Malatya this year, which is interesting. He had an assist in one of those games, but they got knocked out by Malatya, so I guess that shows you
the level of that team's quality.
the level. Yeah, they're not like awful, but they're not necessarily, world beaters. So,
but interesting. Again, perfect profile. I love the concept. I love some creative scouting. I just want to see some creativity.
This actually reminds me a little bit of Mitrovic, because I remember before we signed him, he played against Başakşehir in Europa League qualifying with Rijeka. So I wonder if it was something similar to that, where someone was watching.
Yeah, they saw the assist. But at least this is like a 20-year-old.
Yeah, he will not cost 4 million euros. I can say that.
Definitely. It doesn't sound like that's. Yeah, I know. It's a good profile for a guy, and we'll see how it works out. We'll see if it's even true, right? Once again, window's not actually open. Fooled you. Yeah. So these last few episodes, pretend none of that happened. We're starting from scratch, starting this week. And so, we'll be back with more transfer stuff. I mean, to be honest, I feel like it's going to be littered in throughout the rest of the season. I doubt they just turn off the transfer news now that football's back.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a weird time. It's usually the transfer window would open in July.
I know, we should be getting excited about it.
It's supposed to be over by now. So by this point, all the transfers would be happening. So I think that's why all the rumors are coming, just because that's when the transfer is supposed to start getting done now, but they just are delayed.
For the record,
so I think a lot of deals are
for the record, my birthday is in really late June, towards the end of June, and so it was always this sort of hope in the back of my mind that we would have some sort of great news of a big transfer as a gift, for me. It never happened because we're always bringing guys in 2 weeks after the season starts, but the dream, maybe it's definitely not coming true this year since the season's not even be done. I think there's going to be actually matches on my birthday this year, so that's exciting. But yeah. So everything, regarding the transfer season, take it with a grain of salt. We'll see how much of it comes true when the window actually opens.
Yeah, our last game is into end of July. Actually, that's what I see scheduled right now.
It's so hot,
which is kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's actually what they're gonna do, but that definitely is a huge chunk of the transfer window.
It's so hot in Turkey in the middle of July. You kind of hope they'll double up maybe and finish the season a little sooner at some point, but we will see.
A lot of people are going to be had. We'll just find out if they're just going to shorten the summer break and have it going, but they also have to play the Champions League games, which are supposed to be played in Istanbul for the final and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that has to fall in place before we know when transfers can actually come in. So,
but fingers crossed everything goes smoothly from here on out, and we actually get to the end of the season without any hitches. But if we do, I guess as a quick recap of everything that we've talked about in the last few weeks, I think we can probably definitively say that the rumors that look the most likely to be sort of coming back up into fruition come July or August or whenever that is, are going to be Sinan Bolat as our option for the keeper, probably with Volkan Babacan as a backup. I don't even want to say that Dutch fella's Zoet as a...
yeah, we can have time on special.
Right? And perhaps Alvaro Montero as a wild card option in the mix. But so those are the main options as far as the keeper goes. As far as fullbacks, I think the most realistic one we've seen thus far is Fabrice Nsakala. Although there may be hitches in the road regarding Fener and Galatasaray trying to swoop in or increase his price.
I think a lot of our transfers there will have to be decided if our current fullback starter or get Kanja actually stay or not. That'll definitely change transfer policies. So that's all up in the air still.
As far as anyone who really wants Boakye to be a genuine option in that regard, is he's really the only right back we've been linked to in this time. So
he's long term.
So he
could come in
Sakala on our on the sides of our defense. Who am I forgetting as far as like some of the hot?
Leroy Fur.
Oh yeah, Fair.
Yeah, or Fair. Yeah.
He's gonna probably be coming back around. Maybe this Linson fellow as an attacking midfielder option, although obviously that depends much on what happens with Ljajic and if he still decides he's happy in Istanbul at the end of the season. Strikers?
We haven't really seen anything serious with strikers. To be honest, I mean, there's always there's a lot. Everyone loves strikers in terms of the tabloids. I mean, I've seen Balotelli. There's that English guy Davis we saw, but that's all like photo match fanatic stuff. So we're not gonna really touch on it.
Oh yeah, or like Gyasi, right? You know, you get some random weird ones in the mix, which we never even talked about Edwin Gyasi because it never seemed particularly realistic for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. Just stay tuned, really. I guess.
And I guess Fatih Aksoy coming back from his loan is.
Well, yeah, as far as guys coming back, Fatih Aksoy, Ozan
is questionable still. I think he'll come back.
Questionable. Kyle Larin, right? He could be our backup.
Yeah, he's still questionable if he'll come back or not. So.
Yeah, lots of question marks. So stay tuned, as always. I think, like I said, news will probably come in the coming weeks and months, even while we're still playing football because of the weird, unprecedented nature of these times. But even regardless, we'll certainly be here weekly to talk about football and everything that goes on the pitch. Evran, you got any parting words for these suckers?
I'm just excited for the game. It's been a while.
Sure has. Hopefully
the fanless atmosphere won't be too bad.
Yeah, in NBA, they're going to pipe in NBA 2K soundtrack, supposedly, so maybe we'll get some FIFA background. That's so weird. I, of course, do have to say that you should follow us on Twitter. Follow the mothership for all the latest news 24/7 at Besiktas_INT. Follow this here podcast at Eagles_podcast. As you have been doing. I think we're almost at about 500 followers on Twitter, which is fairly astounding, considering we hardly ever tweet from the account. But I'll try to be more active on that end. Follow my guy here, Evran, at FanofBJK. Follow myself, at Sir_Rights_a lot. We will be back very soon with exciting news regarding a result on the pitch between actual football teams. But before then, I would be remiss to mention Go Besiktas! See you next week. Fuck around and find out, man. Fuck around and find out.
Besiktas International hopes you enjoyed this program.